Coming up, we've got an interview with the creative team behind the new book, Profit. Welcome back, Zappers. I'm Devin Curry with Shazap.com, your online source for comic book news and reviews. Today on Shazap, we've got the distinct pleasure of having with us the creative team behind the new book, Profit. We've got Dan Corey and Anthony Diecidue, and we're going to be talking about their new book. So guys, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit, what came first? I mean, did you start with the character and then build the story around him, or did the story come first and the character kind of fit into it?
Generally, the way I work is I think in terms of that the character is the story. You know, if you have a person involved in a situation, whatever, you know, everything that happens generates for virtue of who he is. You know, if you think about, go back in literature, you look at Hamlet. There would be no Hamlet without Hamlet. You know, and all the intricacies of how he works as a human being. And you look at a great film like Lawrence of Arabia. You know, you have this really eccentric guy in this tiny little map room in the beginning saying things like, "We don't like this room, do we? We want to leave this room." You know, and for virtue of what a crazy guy he is, he gets sent into the desert to appreciate the situation, ends up meeting kings and conquering kingdoms and all this. Everything that happened generated for virtue of who he was as a person. So that's how I work with Profit. You know, who is this guy? You know, sit down, write a monologue, figure out who he is, and for virtue of who he is, what's going to happen around him.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how do you choose the style of art to go along with that story then?
Well, a lot of it comes from, like, I read the script, I close my eyes, and I think about who the characters are and what the story is and how to create the mood that's in the story and what's happening and why. I definitely went with, like, a lot of blacks, a film noir kind of feel, old black and white movies. I let that kind of stuff influence me. Mike Mignola's art is like a perfect way of creating that, like, dark blacks to tell the story and the pacing and all that. And yeah, it definitely comes from, like, you just read it and see what feels right and what works, you know.
Yeah, who is this guy? What is he doing? Why is he doing it?
Right. Now, he's a killer. So tell me a little bit about your choice to go with the anti-hero.
Well, you know, and the matter of character is, what is character? It's the flaws. You know, if you see an old car drive up, it's all rusty and crudted up, you know, you'll say, hey, that car's got character, you know. So that's really what we celebrate. Now, in popular culture more recently, you know, maybe people look more towards purely good, virtuous heroes. But really, if you go back again in literature, you know, again, let's look at Hamlet. You know, the guy, he wanted to kill himself. He wanted to kill his uncle. He's got all kinds of problems. There would be no Death of a Salesman if Willy Loman was not a complete loser. You know, so, and then, you know, look at Batman. Guy's got all kinds of problems.
Right.
You know, so, you know, just think about it that way. I mean, Profit, if he were, you know, purely good, it would be pretty boring.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, even with the art, the character that I tried to create was, he's, you know, he never shaves. He almost looks like he smells or something. You know, he's scarred. He's got tattoos. He's got history. When we're designing the character, we're designing tattoos and thinking about where he comes from.
Maybe he'd been involved in gangs as a young kid. Maybe he'd been in prison. That sort of. So he designed all the tattoos around that, sort of to give him history. Scars.
You know,
right.
Character.
So give him a little wear. Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for coming in and talking to us about the main character of your book. I'm Devin Curry for Shazap.com, and I'm here with Dan Corey and Anthony Diecidue from the book Profit. Thanks for tuning in to Shazap.com, and I'll see you next time.